It's sharks, sir. Lots of sharks. I'm coming to you today from a Homewood Suites, a non-disclosed location called the Homewood Suites in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here for business, but I got some stuff I want to talk to you about that I like a lot more, and that's called books. A book, right there it is. And this is Blood in the Water by Mark Masztal. And this is a person that I've spoken to some on the internet, on the Facebook, a fellow book fan, book collector, author, and artist. And Mark sent me a copy of this book, Blood in the Water, and I did read it right away. And then I was going to do a review, and I don't want to admit it, but somehow I lost the book. I lost it. And Mark actually signed this book and sent it to me with a nice inscription right there. And I lost the book, and I couldn't believe it. I was going to go on Amazon and buy another copy. And until rearranging some shelves, it turns out it had fallen behind some other books. But it has been resurrected from the depths. And I read this book right away, and I really did enjoy it. It's not exactly what I expected it to be, which is always nice, as long as that's in a good way, not in a bad way. If you're expecting a book to be something great and it's not, well, that's a disappointment. This is quite the opposite. Now, like many folks out there, I've read a book called Jaws by Peter Benchley. Ever hear of it? When I'm reading a book, Blood in the Water, and it's got even a picture on the front. And this book is illustrated by Mark Masztal as well. It's got a picture of a shark's fin and what looks like a lady. And you might think, this is another Jaws book. Guess what? You would be incorrect. Incorrect, sir, wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Everybody's wrong sometimes. But this book is something much different. Now, I did love Peter Benchley's Jaws, the book, and I love Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And this book has some of that. You do have killer man-eater shark. The book also does have some of that shark's perspective, which was a very neat part of Jaws. And it's even, I think, more here. A little bit more of that shark's perspective. So, in a way, there are similarities. There are people on a boat. So there's another similarity. There's some scientists, and on Jaws there was a scientist, essentially. So a little bit of similarity there. But that's kind of where it goes different directions. And in a great way, it goes in a different direction. So this book, it has aspects of quite a few stories that you might combine. So Jaws, all right, we talked about that a little bit. There's also another story called Godzilla. Ever hear of it? All right, so in theory, Godzilla is this great creature who may or may not have been created from radiation. And there's a creature in here that kind of fits that bill. It reminded me a little bit of the Clive Cussler Dirk Pitt books as well. They had, I think it was Numa on there. They worked for this scientific water stuff, water rescue, recovery, and things like that. And there's some similar stuff there as well. But it's not just like any of those things. This is its own thing, and Mark did a great job with this book. I'm very glad he sent me the book because I enjoyed reading it, and it's a neat addition to the collection. I mentioned that it is illustrated. I'll show you some of the pictures in here that Mark illustrated. But the book was written in 2020. I think I got my grubby mitts on it in 2023, read it, and now it's 2024, getting around to doing the book review. It was published by Not Dog Books. So there is that. And it looks neat. There's a little bit of info about it. If you want to read that, pause, go back and read it. And I've never been a big indie reader guy. That's not judging. It's just a matter of there are so many books out there to read. I've got a list a mile long of books to read, well-known books, and going out and searching for books by authors that I've never heard of. It's not something that I've done. Maybe that's a mistake. And this is a case where I jumped on it. I've read a couple of these indie type books lately from authors that are not published by the big publishers or anything like that, and I've enjoyed them both. Enjoyed them both very much from different authors. But very basically, we have a guy named Matthew Cooper. He's old. He's in his 70s. He's founded a non-profit type organization called CISR, C-I-S-R, the Cooper Institute for Shark Research. And he's at a point in his life where he's now feels old. He can't believe that he's gotten so old. But he's out on a 6-month excursion on the Polaris 2, this fancy research vessel that they have, and it's top notch. I mean, chef, hot tubs, it's deluxe. It's like living the life at sea, although they are at work. And he's got a daughter named Bobby with an I. She kind of is the more, mature person of the two, where he wants to go out and chase things and do things. She wants to take care of the business of the business. And Matt, the book goes into the large group on this vessel, all sorts of jobs, relationships, and it does a very good job of developing characters. I'm a big fan of characters, and this book develops characters with some strikingly familiar names of some of these characters. Anyway, it develops a lot of the characters, good and bad relationships between them, and I like that part of the book as well. But they're on the Polaris 2, and they get a distress call from a fishing boat. And the fishing boat captain, the person that sends out the distress signal anyway, it says that there was a shark attack. A pack of sharks, a herd of sharks, a group of sharks, a shiver of sharks, whatever they're called. They attacked the boat, mangled it, killed some of the people on the boat. And so they bring them onto the Polaris. They got a doctor there. They're treating these people. And they take them to a port medical facility and to get treatment for the surviving people of the shark attack. On the boat, they find a shark tooth, massive shark tooth. They said it's bigger than a great white shark, not megalodon or anything like that. Was it the Meg? Not the Meg. They rest assured. So now we're not talking about the Meg, but this giant tooth has decay and damage, and it's in bad shape. And they determine that the shark's in really rough shape. And they go on to find out that the shark tooth is radioactive. Therefore, the shark is radioactive. Now, I talked about we get a lot of story from the shark's perspective, and it's really cool. It's neat how you get his thoughts. He doesn't know things, so he's seen this big giant thing, and he bites into it, and oil spills out. So he thinks it's blood. It's something to feed off of. The shark is sick. And he's sick in the mind, but he's huge. So they spill it very early in the book that this shark has been irradiated, radioactivated, whatever you would say there. I'll tell you, it's not really a spoiler. It's very early in the book. But like Godzilla, this shark, this snaggletooth shark, this giant snaggletooth shark, much bigger than it ought to be, has been radioactivated from the Fukushima disaster. And I'll tell you one more cool thing about this book, because I think it helps to sell it a little bit. We got a shark, a massive, radioactive, sick, dying shark who's tearing apart boats for food. He thinks it's food, killing people on the boat. This shark also controls other sharks. So this shark has a mind control where he makes the other sharks do what they want to do, and he plans and plots and schemes, and they do as they're told. And this dynamic leads to some very interesting stuff throughout the book as the book goes on. But our Matt Cooper, our main character, basically the main character. There's a lot of characters in this book. But Matt Cooper is at a turning point in his life. He's got to make decisions. They're in this situation where you have this massive radioactive shark that's controlling all these other sharks, that's cruising around, attacking boats and killing people. And they've got to help solve this problem. Meanwhile, there are deeper problems. Sisser and the control of Sisser, which again, that's the Cooper Institute for Shark Research. I had to write it down. Who's going to control that and all sorts of other stuff. So Mark Masztal did a great job writing this book. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to see more of this story. Although, what are they going to do? Have another, whatever, I won't get into it. But I don't know where they could go with it, except he did develop some pretty cool characters that I think I want more of. I don't know what you do. Sequels are tough. They're very tough. Tell that to Takagi. Anyway, sequels are difficult, and it's hard to come up with new stuff for the old characters, especially when you have a good beginning, middle, and end in a story. Well, before we go, let's take a look at some of these illustrations in here from Mark Masztal. And there's the cover artwork, which does look good, looks really good. And there are a variety of pictures and a variety of types. So I'm going to try to find some, and I'll show it to you. And I don't know if I showed you or not, but to Tim, let me know if it's terrific. Mark, and then he signed it March 2023. Signed a couple ways there. But there are some cool illustrations right off the bat from Douglas Adams, Books of Sharks, because sharks have been around for a very long time. There were sharks before there were dinosaurs, and the reason sharks are still in the ocean is that nothing is better at being a shark than a shark. But there is an illustration among the pages there. Let's see what else I can find for you. Each of these chapter headings has an image there, and there's a bunch of them. Lots of illustrations among that vein, that style, and there's pictures that help to tell the story. And there are a variety of illustrated books that are illustrated for beauty, and then books that are illustrated to help tell stories, and they're both great. And the illustrations in here seem to be more geared towards helping to tell the story. There's something that kind of shows the mindset or the condition, the status of this snaggletooth shark. They call it king shark. It's referred to as king shark in the book, which is kind of cool. If I want to be a shark, I wouldn't mind people calling me king shark. Although this poor sucker's, I feel bad for him. You start to almost pity the shark by the end. Well, not almost. You pity the shark. So this book, I would not say that the book Jaws by Peter Benchley was one that was designed to make the shark hateful, something that you hate. Although I think some people took it that way. And the movie really, I believe, goes a little farther, making that shark into a monster. But this book doesn't really make the shark into a monster, although he's got all sorts of stuff going on, monster type stuff, but it doesn't make the shark a villain. It almost makes the shark more of a victim. A victim that now is doing some pretty scary things. And then there's more of the sketch in the back. I guess you'd call that a sketch. I'm not an art expert, but I really did enjoy this book. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the book. Thanks for doing such a good job, man. And I want to thank everybody for watching my video. I do appreciate it. Please consider subscribing to the channel. It's nice when people say that, hey, you're not horrible. I could tolerate possibly perhaps watching another of your videos again sometime. Anyway, I can think of no more lies to tell, so thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. And say la vie, baby. Doo-doo.